Hello composers, Mike here. What if you could add the huge selection of synths, instruments and effects from Reason Studios into Logic Pro X? This has been my dream for so many years, because I used to use only Reason for many years, but the last years I mainly used Logic Pro for music compositions. But I have always missed all those great synths, effects and especially the rack workflow of Reason. Well, now with the new Reason Rack plugin, I can actually use Reason inside of Logic. And it is like a dream come true. So let's take a look at how this works. Full rack access and workflow. So of course you first start by loading the Reason Rack plugin as an instrument here in Logic, and then this is how it looks like when you open up the plugin. And as you can see, if you never used Reason, the entire thing and workflow with Reason is this rack interface. As you can see, these holes here and these wooden bars, it looks like a hardware rack in the studio. So now I can, for example, add an instrument here. Let's go with the radical keys. And I can start to play it instantly. Right? And I can also switch out the instrument. If I right-click here, you can see instruments, go to other types of instruments, or you can use this plus, add device, and add another instrument. So let's add a piano on top of the radical keys, and now we have... which is basically... like a track stack almost in Logic. So I layer these instruments now. Then perhaps I want to use an effect on this. So if I select this and right click and add an effect, let's do the Softube bass amp. Now you can see how is this connected. Well, this is the rack. You can flip the rack here or by clicking tab on your computer keyboard and you can see the routing. So this goes out into Logic. This is the output device, radical keys. And here you can see the output from radical piano goes through the Softube bass amp and then out. So now this is a mix between radical keys, natural, and radical piano with a bass amp, which sounds like this. And you can do whatever you like. You can drag and drop, for example, this. As you can see, it works as drag and drop. You can add a device here and so on. So by having this Reason Rack plugin, you get full rack access and this amazing workflow of Reason inside of Logic Pro X. Great preset management with the browser. So you already learned that you can add instruments by clicking this plus add device here or by right-clicking anywhere in the rack to add an instrument or effect or utility or a player. But it gets even better. Here you can see if you click this little button here, you open up the browser view. So you can click instruments and here you can see the visual representation of the instruments. And also if you, for example, select the radical piano and then click here on the browse patch, it automatically opens up the patches for this specific instrument. You can do it with the effects. Click there, it opens up those, and you have it on the side here without disturbing the visual view of the rack. You can of course save your own presets, and you can even create favorite lists, these little stars here, if you create a new one. So epic sounds, and then you can, for example, drag in whenever you find a patch into that, and whenever you need to access that sound, you just go here to the browser and load it up. Access all your paid rack extensions. So Reason Studios actually has its own plugin format called rack extensions that you can use to enhance your rack with more instruments, synthesizers, and effects. And I'm actually here, this is their rack extension store. And I own several that I paid for rack extensions in the past that I used when I was mainly using Reason as a DAW. So if you have them or buy extra, you can now access them in this rack. So I think Radical Keys is a paid rack extension. This synthesizer here, in fact, let's remove this. You can hear this synthesizer is amazing. So let's open that up. It's called Antidote. So that is a synthesizer I paid for as a rack extension, and now I can use that in the recent rack plugin here in Logic Pro X. The rack is super inspiring for sound design. This is actually my personal favorite aspect of Reason, the rack workflow and the amazing creative sound design you can use it for. So not only can you choose individual synthesizers, instruments and effects, you can even go further here in the browser, instruments, effects, utilities and players. So utilities are special sound shaping features like LFOs, arpeggiators, sequencer, as well as, for example, a line mixer here. So let's start with that. And you can add, for example, an instrument here. Let's use tuned percussion. What do we have now? Right, so that one. Let's go back into instruments. Let's add grain sample manipulator here, which is automatically routed here in the back to the second channel. You can set the individual level of those, panning, and so on. And then you can add, for example, an effect. Let's use scream distortion right here. Let's see it, that it's connected. Yes, it's connected to grain. So now grain. Okay, a bit too much distortion there. Let's do fuzz or tube, like so. Right, and in layered with this first clang, you have that now. You can add, for example, let's do a piano on top of that, which is routed into the third layer. You might want to adjust the panning of these two, the level. Let's say you're not happy with this one, just change the preset, or of course sound design your own if you want. You can always solo it while we work. Let's do something like that. And as you can see, your creative options for sound design are limitless. You can even add, for example, this pulsar here and connect it, let's say, to the... Let's put it down here below Radical Piano and see what we can do. Let's connect it to pitch, output, like so. And now you have the LFO on the pitch of the Radical Piano. And you can create creepy effects with this, or whatever you like. You can even connect it to, instead, let's do it on the damage control on the scream unit. And you can hear the distortion coming in and out. I hope you can start to see all the amazing infinite possibilities for sound design in the Reason Rack workflow. Ability to use the Rack FX plugin on other tracks. So I have now created a new track with Omnisphere loaded here, and I'm just using a string pad sound like this. Now you can actually go to Audio, Insert Effects. Let's go to Audio Units, Reason Studios, and load Reason Rack plugin effect. Now this is the rack, but with only the effects available as you're using it on an actual instrument in Logic, which means I can now shape this Omnisphere sound with, let's say, pulverizer demolition, like this. Let's do some dirty doubler. Or whatever. So let's do this one. So to create really cool, completely unique sounds based on whatever you start with in Logic. Now this is also amazing because you can change several effects together. Like, let's start with some this pulverizer, and then add, let's say, a bass amp on top. Or let's change that to, you can also right click again here. Let's do guitar reverb. This is also a paid rack extension I paid for back in the days, and now I can use that. Or let's say I want to create something really rhythmic. Again, the initial patch is this beautiful string pad. Let's do, so not all effects are here. You can actually go into the browser again and use, let's say, Audiomatic Retro Transformer on vinyl. Or something rhythmic with alligator filter effect here. Again, chaining instruments together like this can be another amazing way, and you can save this entire effect chain as a preset if you like. Save it into your own preset category or favorite categories down here, and access it immediately in other Logic Pro projects you're working on. That is the Recent Rack plugin, which you can use in Logic Pro X and several other DAWs right now. I will include a link in the video description so you can learn more about it.